Hi guys, Doyle Dykes here, and I just want to talk about guitars tonight. This is not a random late night picking or it's not a Sunday string along, it's just me talking about guitars. This is a mahogany with a spruce top D18 Martin, great guitar, 1967. It is a really nice balanced sound for a dreadnought especially. You get plenty of bass and a clarity up top. Get in there. Really nice, and for great for Chet picking or Travis picking, you know. And D18, and of course I have another Martin here. I have another D18. This is a 1960. This is a 55 Brazilian Rosewood spruce top. I had this one over at Randy's. Randy's Old Time Picking Parlor. Randy's a great luthier, and if you're going to drop a guitar or whatever, a good place to do it would be Randy's. And so I said, well, Randy, I really wanted you to just check this guitar out and see what you thought of it. It's 1955, and the last song you can look on YouTube is Doyle Dykes, Randy's Old Time Picking Parlor. It was just 2 weeks ago, and I played the Lord's Prayer. It's the last song I played, and I got this strap caught around my foot and pulled it down and wham, and I picked it up and in perfect tune. And he said, well, when I saw that, Doyle, I would say, even without looking at it, it's a great Martin, so keep it. Miss Caleb on this. Little tune I wrote called Bridging the Gap. This has more of a lower end, but a real tight lower end with the Brazilian. Roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels won't go? Roll on, buddy, pull your load of coal. How can I pull when my wheels won't go? harmonics are amazing. That's an acoustic guitar, guys. I wrote this years ago on an electric guitar. This is more like, it was a G&L. It's more like a Telecaster. And when I started playing acoustic guitar, I just started playing on a Taylor one day, and I thought, oh wow, I didn't know you could do a string bend like that. And that became a signature thing for me. And so people say, why acoustic? Why do you play the acoustic guitar? Because mainly the dynamics are so amazing. And you can have a voice like, it's like a lead singer. And whether it's something like that or a lower tuning, and they take low tunings very, very good. And you can't just do this on a Les Paul, or you could, you know, but, or like a Telecaster, you know. I wrote this on an acoustic guitar way back in the 90s. And then when I started now you can hear me hitting the fretboard. You can also do the neo or the classical. This is more orchestral, and the acoustic works better for that. Of course, when you amplify it, it comes out even better. But it's the dynamics. And I played the Lord's Prayer, of course, over at Randy's. And so I love the acoustic guitar. And so, but through the years, people have asked me, why do you play acoustic? It's dynamics. I didn't know anything about the acoustic guitar for years. I was playing one type of acoustic guitar, and it was a nylon string guitar, and it was one that Chet Atkins gave me. Before that, I was playing a kind of a knockoff of that made by Guild, which was a good little guitar. It was great. But Chet gave me one of his personal guitars, and that one was amazing. And it had a special pickup made by Ray Butzer preamp, and it's written on the case, special preamp, custom preamp by Ray Butz, who invented the Filtertron pickup for Gretsch. And so I knew I had something there. I still have it. And so that was the way I would kind of satisfy that type of song within me, to be able to, articulate it and express music through that. It was through the electric nylon. And then later on, I got one that Chet even called a better mousetrap, and that was the Kirk Sand guitar, and I still have it. And it's more acoustic. It's braced. Everything's more acoustic. But I was still playing like a Telly, and then and that was it. I was playing up in Northern California, and Wayne Charvel came out to hear me play. He says, "You need to be playing an acoustic guitar, and you should be playing." He told me I should be playing a Taylor. I had never heard of Taylor. I didn't know a thing about Taylor, and of course they didn't know a thing about me. And so he asked me if I would play his guitars. He had these wonderful guitars called WRC, Wayne R. Charvel. He sold the rights to his name to Fender or to somebody. Anyway, Fender makes those guitars now, Charvel guitars. But it was Wayne Charvel that made those guitars for Eddie Van Halen, all that stuff. And so he was the one that told me I should be playing acoustic guitar. And he had Johnny Davis, a friend of his, drive me down to the factory. In fact, he took me over. He personally took me over to their booth, the Barkus Berry booth, Barkus Berry pickups. They don't even exist anymore, but they were the first ones to ever make the piezo pickups. Ned Barkus, I believe was his name, and Mr. Berry, who was also a concert violinist. Brilliant guys. And they called me one day, said that we gave you a pickup. Do you like it? And I said, well, I don't have a guitar to go around that pickup yet. And so they said, well, next time you come down, we'll help you with that. And they took me down there. Johnny Davis, one of their employees, and pretty much ran their factory. He took me down to Taylor Guitars. And to be honest with you, I didn't really want to go that much. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of time. And I found out later, Bob didn't either. He was going, oh, no, another guitar player coming in. But like I said, I knew nothing about them, and they knew nothing about me. But when I got there and they put a guitar in my hands, and it was a guitar more like this here, and this is one made by James Olson. Now, I actually met James Olson before I met Bob Taylor, and so, which is really cool because I have, several of the Olson guitars, and I just love them. They're wonderful guitars. This one happens to be more like, one of my signature guitars that I've made and designed in the past, and I didn't know anything about grand concerts or grand auditoriums. I didn't know anything about wood and the difference in the tone. I knew nothing. This is, of course, maple and with a cedar top. And we'll talk about tone wood sometimes. And we'll do more of these guitar talk things if you like it. But why did I choose acoustic guitar? Because, it actually kind of chose me. When I went there at the recommendation of Wayne Charvel, they actually had a little meeting. It was Bob Taylor, his partner Kurt Listug, and also a guy named T.J. Baden. And I went in this little room with a long table, and I sat at one end, and I was just playing, whatever, I can't even remember what all I played. Me and Jesus and my old guitar. things like that, you know. And but when I started playing, I could hear Bob Taylor humming. And I know in his mind, thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. And as thou hast been, thou forever shall be. Then I went to, we are standing on holy ground. And so anyway, after I finished in, I said, so you're a Christian, you're a believer? And he said, oh yeah, I play at my worship team at church, and but I play electric guitar at church. That's what he said. He played electric, and he said he played an Anderson, I believe, at that particular time. Played at John Maxwell's church too. John Maxwell, the great speaker. And people don't care what you know. People don't care how much you know as long as they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know as long as they know how much you care. And man, I use that lots of times. And Bob Taylor. So I met those guys, and they said, "Well, we want to send you a guitar. We want to." And I told TJ, he's the one that said that. Before I left, and I said, look, man, I came here just to meet you guys, and I don't have the money to buy a set of strings. I don't know if I told him that, but I didn't, and much less a guitar. And he said, well, we'll work something out with you. Which one did you like? He said, we don't have the Grand Auditorium out yet, but we have a grand concert. And so they sent this guitar to my house, and they said, we'll settle up later. And so I remember it was right here in Cleveland. We had just moved from Nashville to Cleveland because nothing was happening for me in Nashville at the time. And our kids wanted to go to Lee University, so we moved down here. And thinking we'd move right back, in a year or two, but we never did. And so I love Nashville, don't get me wrong. But I was in Cleveland. We had bought this little house. My wife was doing the laundry. UPS comes, and here's this guitar. And I played it, and I'm going, oh, there's that sound that it was just something different. And I said, honey, I found it. I found the guitar. And they've heard, yeah, and they've heard that before, right, guys? And well, that's good, honey. I said, no, I mean, it didn't matter so much even the brand of the guitar as the type of the guitar. It was an acoustic guitar. I said, it's my sound, And when I started doing that, then I went at the end, I mean, I'm emulating timpani. But that's not something you do on a Les Paul, and I loved Les Paul. He was my friend, and I loved his guitars, and I love the Telecaster. I love electric. I love the Gretsch. I love all that stuff. But when it comes to the dynamics, you have to have that acoustic sound. There's nothing else that will give that to you, and I found that out and to be true. Now, Kirk Sands' guitar will also, but it is an acoustic, essentially an acoustic guitar. And so, but I found my sound that I had been looking for, especially with the steel string that was just different and complemented the nylon string that I was doing. And so, anyway, it really did change my life. And so Rita, she's doing the wash. I said, "Now, honey, you don't get it. This guitar, this is going to change our lives." "Well, that's good, hon." She gave me a hug. I said, and I'm going, "You don't get it." But I think she did. This is another great guitar. I knew nothing about tone woods whatsoever. Didn't know a thing about acoustic guitars when I first went over to Bob and Taylor and those guys. And by the way, I remember one time I came in and they asked me if I would play before this or during this interview with a local TV station with Bob. And he'd just gotten off a plane and came in, and the crew was setting up, and Bob lays down this guitar case, and he said, "Doyle, you got to see my new guitar. I'm so excited. It just came in." I'm going, "What do you mean just came in? Didn't you build it?" And he opens it up, and he said, "We used my wood. I had some special reserve Brazilian." And I looked at it, and it was a Collings. He says, "I've always wanted a guitar from Bill." And Bill Collings was a good friend of his. And then also I said, "Well, where have you been?" He said, "Well, I just got in from Martin Guitars." And he said, we just kind of had a little summit, and I was talking to them about CNCs and the way we've gotten involved with them, and we just helping each other out. And I said, "Well, aren't they your competitors?" And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Doyle, we can't make all the guitars in the world. First of all, we didn't invent the guitar, and I feel indebted to the guitar. And so if I can help Martin or Gibson or whoever make better guitars and make more, and what we know, and they just share ideas. And so it's a tighter community than you think it is, and it's really great. But this is Koa, and I love that. Boy, the harmonics come off really great with this one. This is between, I would say, and I've said this for years actually, with the more I've found out and learned more about tone woods, Koa is sort of, to me, in between this mahogany and this Brazilian. And they're all the same size guitars. This is a 1980, I believe, or 81. Martin, and I've really gotten into Martin guitars. And I just got this from Kelly Barber as well. But it's all Koa sides and back with a spruce top. It's colored spruce, shaded actually, or amber tone. I thought it might be cedar, but it just, no, it's just. I remember when I wrote that song. It was at Daryl Owen's church, a friend of mine. He said, "What song is that?" I said, "I wrote it in my head last night on my way to Lompoc." And I stayed at his house. And it's called The Road Back Home. I wrote it on my way going up the coast up to Lompoc, California, and then went back to his house. Got in around 2 a.m. He's just been just one of my very best friends in life, and he told me that's one of the greatest songs I've ever heard you play. it just the acoustic started bringing things out. And I said I wrote this on my G&L. I actually started on that, but I finished it on acoustic guitar. I was playing at a NAMM show, a summer NAMM years ago, and I'll never forget, John Chappelle came up, and some of his guys that worked at this Guitar Shop magazine. It was the first guitar magazine that ever wrote an article on me. And I'll never forget the things that he said, but he was talking about the harmonics and the string bend. And I didn't know, by the way, I always think, oh, well, on the guitar you can do that on as a Taylor, but I hadn't played a Martin in a while, and I found out Martin's as good, if not better. I mean, they're just really great. Of course, my Taylor's really fine too. I'll have to show you this. This is one of my favorite guitars that I've ever had, and it was one that Taylor made. And but it was really a true Doyle Dykes signature model, and we actually made it thinner here, so it's the depth of a grand concert and the size of a grand auditorium this way, and so that we had our own pickup system. It was made by LR Baggs, and this pickup system is a hexaphonic, and so it was different. Bob told me one day, in fact, he said, your guitar was more of a Gretsch than it was a Taylor, especially with the orange, right? But this is a great example. Larry Breedlove actually designed the rose on this. And I have an Olson also, pardon me for leaving the camera a little bit, and but it all goes back to the whole thing of the guitar. The acoustic guitar actually came to me. I never will forget the first guitar I had was the Silvertone, a little acoustic guitar from Sears and Roebuck, and Mom and Dad gave it to me for my 10th birthday, 11th, and it was just a few months later. I had just a spiritual experience at my church, and I felt my life was changed. I wanted to do something in my life and for God, and I dedicated. I said, and I remember holding my hands, Lord, give me a job to do it. I'll always tell people about you. And someone asked me not long ago, said, are your fingers insured? And I've been playing, I mean, since that time, since I was 11. They said, are your fingers insured? I said, no, but they're on Medicare now. Does that count? And so that's how long I've been playing. I started playing the guitar then. And so it was just, the acoustic guitar was a part of my life. The third key here busted. I had to use my dad's pliers. I had to go out to the garage, take them back in, and tune my guitar. And one day, Dad picked me up. He saw me walking home from school in this red Ford Fairlane. I'll never forget it. Get in the car, son. We're going downtown. I got your guitar fixed up. And I thought he had it repaired. And he said, well, just look around. I'm going to talk to the owner. Fred was his good. He'd known Fred Paula's at Paula's Music for years. And so I never paid that much attention when I would go to the music store with my dad until then. And I saw all these great guitars and these Vox teardrop guitars. And the Martins now were down the street in another place called American Music. And also maybe, I can't remember if Marvin Gaye sold any, I don't think they sold Gibson, but they may have sold some Martins. Music stores were wonderful back then in Jacksonville, Florida. They really, really were. But I'll never forget, he called me over and Fred Paula standing there and Dad over this case. And they opened it up, and it was a brand spanking new Gibson J45 Cherry Sunburst. And I said, that's mine. And it was Dad's choice. He chose the Gibson J45, which was a good choice. It's a great little guitar. And that was a gift from he and my mom. And I didn't even have to have a paper route to pay for it. And not that that's wrong, but I'm just saying they invested in me, and I'm so thankful for that. I used to play guitar for Grandpa Jones, and I was playing here, if you can see that. This is an early photo of me backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, and I was playing a Telecaster, but Grandpa was playing his little Gallagher and small body acoustic guitar, and we went up to. In fact, after my Gibson, I thought I had to, like most kids, I got to have an electric. So here's Tim Hicks from my church and myself, and Tim and I are still great friends. And that's me with my Jaguar, and I think he ended up getting a Jaguar, but he had his dad's Strat here. And so there we are with electric guitars. And so I started playing electric guitar, and throughout high school and all. Then I went to a Gill Starfire. Then I went to an L5. I ended up playing with J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. I'll never forget Rita. One day I met my high school sweetheart. We got married. To make a long story short, and I'm going too long here, I'm sorry. But I ended up, she said, you need to be playing your guitar again. We've been married about a year. And so I got the job with Grandpa Jones. And I played with Grandpa several years. We were up in Washington, D.C., and that was where my Uncle Doyle was from. I was named after him. This is Doyle. Everybody called him Smitty Smith. And here he is, right here, with a really great fiddle player. I don't know who the guy in the middle is. If anybody knows, let me know. But Chubby Wise, and then of course Uncle Doyle knew Roy Clark really well, and he got Roy his first job. I didn't know that. Roy Clark told me that. He said, "You and I share a lot of the same story." I said, "How's that?" He said, "We both, our first great job was with Grandpa Jones." Here I am with Grandpa playing my Telecaster, and this is on the balcony or the back patio, whatever, portico, whatever you call that, at the governor's mansion in Arkansas, which my friend Mike Huckabee would like. I had to share that photo with him. But Uncle Doyle owned this guitar. In fact, when we were in Washington, they were honoring Grandpa with some kind of an award at the Smithsonian, and I asked if I could borrow his Martin because my J45, I still had a J45, it wasn't very loud, and they wouldn't allow electric instruments at this particular event. And so he brought the old Martin in, and here I am just not too long after that, because Uncle Doyle passed away not long after that event there in Washington, D.C. But I remember him telling me, he said, Roy Clark asked to borrow that guitar when he was playing in Madison Square Garden. And years later, I gave him the Martin, this Martin that I'm holding. It's the same guitar. And so a lot of people through the years, they just kind of associated me with one brand or another brand, this brand, whatever. And but I had a Martin long before I had anything else, and it was this guitar, of course. And I never owned a dreadnought of any other brand, and ever. And because when you have the Holy Grail, a D45, for lack of a better term, but that's what they consider this guitar. This is a pre-war, and it still has the best neck of any acoustic for finger picking that I think that I've ever seen, especially. need my glasses. But I certainly don't need another guitar, but I'm happy to have these others as well. But so I'm thankful for the acoustic guitar coming back into my life, and it really came to me. It really did. So if you don't have an acoustic guitar, I encourage you to get one. There are a lot of great guitars out there, and but I mean, I got these old Martins just a few days, less than a week ago. A couple of the Koa, and then the '67. So whether you get a used one, a new one, or whatever, but just like my dad used to say, don't you buy no cheap guitar, you get a good guitar. Well, it may be hard, and but with the gas prices like they are and everything else. But just get as good of a guitar as you can. There are some great instruments out there. Paul Reed Smith sent me one not long ago that it is a wonderful guitar. It sounds great, plays great, and it's not real expensive. So they're out there, folks. I hope you enjoyed this, why I play acoustic guitar. And thank God, I think I found my voice in a way of expression through that instrument, and I hope it'll be a blessing to a lot of people. And you get out there and use your gifts too. And the people ask me, and I'll stop with this: how do I get better at what I do? And I mean, I'm not an expert. Sometimes I say, well, I'm just a little spurt. But I can tell you this: playing in front of people will do more for you than anything. And so get out there and play in front of people. Use your gift. Use your talent. Don't just stay in your bedroom with it, but get out there and do something with it. And God bless you for it. All right, thanks, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.